Hello, friends. My name's host Eric. I'm sometimes referred to as El Huesto de Taquiendo de Famosos de Peopleoples, which in turn is sometimes referred to as Talking with Famous People. I'm here with the always tremendous Rachel LaPalosa.
Hello.
Who's absolutely tremendously magnificent today, as usual.
Oh, thank you.
And we're here to talk about the eternal war, God's own eternal war, between utility and validity, or utility and accuracy. So the thing is, to be more precise, accuracy and precision are both components of TI thinking. And utility drives TE thinking, such that accuracy and precision are only needed to a certain level, right? So if I'm cutting a piece of wood, I need to cut it pretty cleanly, within a millimeter or two maybe, but not within a nanometer. So there's a threshold there. If I'm a couple nanometers off, it's okay, because it's so small that whatever. But in contrast, binary verbal reasoning skills and stuff, accuracy with language or accuracy with describing things that aren't that are scalar, basically. If something's scalar, that is to say then that the mechanics of the relationship don't change no matter what variables are put in. When you're dealing with things that are scalar, then TI is going to be a better frame of reference, because it understands the aspects of things that don't have any margin of error. That there's no such thing as cutting a couple nanometers longer or shorter with introverted thinking. So let's see if anybody's here. I wasn't absolutely sure I wanted to live stream right now, but I felt tired of watching things, which I've been doing before. And is it working? Yes, it is working. And yes, there are no viewers. So that's the explanation there. Okay. Anyway. It seems like it would seem as though we should be able to make some sort of bridge between TE and TI people if we simply acknowledge that we each have our respective dominion. You know, you're here early, but you have to go to sleep soon. Okay, Evelyn. When you do go to sleep, I want you to dream of correctness. I want you to dream of TI standing triumphantly with its foot on TE's neck, crushing the life out of it. What a sweet dream that would be. I'm just kidding, TE people. Sort of.
I'm probably gonna be going to sleep soon too.
Yeah, I don't expect this is gonna be a super long live stream for me either. I'm feeling pretty worn out. I got a lot of things done today. I feel pretty good about that. And there were things that really needed to get tended to that I'd been putting off, so kind of gratifying to get those things accomplished, get them off my plate, and not be stressing about it. But left me kind of worn out. Why are there so few pictures going through my slideshow? I put a shit ton of pictures in there. So many of them are sideways too. It's annoying. I'm going to change it up and do this a different way. Add files instead of directory. And I'm going to add only the meow ones. I'm going to go like this. Peow. 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 And there. That's it. That's all the peows you get. Okay, that's better. Yeah, you mean uploads as opposed to live streams. Hi, Jonathan Vasanti. Hi, Karma's Pimp. If you love leather, you'll love Landwerlin leather. So, what can I say? You know, I guess if I were to really want Evelyn to have sweet dreams, I would wish her to dream that she was at a symposium and trying to make her way to the front, but constantly getting interrupted by people coming up to her and telling her how impressed they are with her genius. Oh, Evelyn, please, before you go up on stage and reveal your great new theory, let me just take a moment to tell you how impressed I am with your genius. That'd be a good dream for Evelyn. She never even gets all the way up to the stage. She's just overwhelmed with fourth slot FE rewards that she doesn't have to do anything to attain. This guy, look at that guy. He's got bells coming out of his neck. Who here has bells coming out of their neck?
Not me.
Not me either, so he's got one up on me. That's why I hate him so. Just like for me, it would be a good fourth slot dream would be, you know, I guess I'm eating ice cream, taking a bath, getting a massage, and like doing whippets and all these things at once. Ah, yeah. More consumption. Somebody pour things in my mouth. I curse the reality that I can't eat, smoke, and drink all at the same time. I actually swallowed something down the wrong tube earlier.
Yeah, it was scary. I was.
Like that. In that fashion.
It's always startling because.
I rarely do it anymore. Something you kind of do a couple times as a kid and learn not to do anymore, I guess. What would be Rachel's good dream? Well, I guess 4 slot SE would just be like, it'd be Debbie Does Dallas.
I have this theory that when I went under for surgery on my ear that I had a sex dream and they had like trouble, like, because I had a bruise like on this side when they were like doing work on my ear on my left side, and I was like, oh shit. It's like, I wonder if I had like a sex dream.
Well,
Yeah.
who knows what you do under anesthesia. I remember when they put me under, like, not all the way under, but they were going to operate on my hand while keeping me awake, but heavily Demeroled out. But I wasn't a very cooperative patient. I was like, whoa, my arm feels weird.
Oh my god, TB patient.
Yeah, with the current state of the world, you prefer the TI crushing the TE dream. Yeah. I feel you, dog. The thing is,
Yeah.
with TE's sort of lack of scruples, it can always piggyback on NI's finding reducibility unnecessary to just justify anything with some holistic bullshit that doesn't validate on TI grounds. And the thing is, the proper relationship between TI and TE people is TE people use TE on stuff that TI people have validated is okay, you know? If it doesn't pass TI muster, then they're not TEing well enough. They're not holding themselves to a high enough standard. I'm making coffee if you're wondering. If you weren't wondering, I'm still making coffee. If you were plundering, I wonder why you listen to my live stream while plundering. Is it soothing? Do you find it soothing to listen to this live stream while plundering? First I'm going to plunder, then I'm going to pillage. Then I'm going to chunder all over your village. That was the cheerleaders for the Vikings. That's the chant. They cheer on the sidelines. First we're going to plunder, then we're going to pillage, then we're going to chunder all over your village. Go Vikings! Hooray! Mm-hmm. Burn it down. Burn down that house. Burn it down. They had all kinds of fun cheers. The Viking cheerleaders. The Minnesota Vikings should instruct their cheerleaders to only do real Viking, historically authentic Viking cheers. If you die by splitting your skull on the sharp edge of the hatchet of your foe, don't worry. As long as you did so with a smile on your face, you're going to Valhalla. Was one of their less poetic cheers, I think. Kind of more like prose.
Wow. I can see that for the very technical cheer. You have to go artistic.
Well, one of my favorite Viking cheers was their call and response one, where they said, what size our boat? It's a long boat. Is it too short? It's a long boat. What size our boat? It's a long boat. Longboat. Long boat. Woo! That's one of my favorite classic Viking cheers.
That is.
Yeah.
That's a great Viking cheer.
Well, their mascot, their ethnic mascot was the longboat. They were the Viking longboats.
Viking longboats. They really have a pride for their boats.
Right. Back in the olden days, every country / culture / society had a team name to go along with their regular name. Vikings were the longboats. The Mongols, well, they were the hoarders.
No.
Yeah. The Huns, they were the honeys for a while. Then they changed their name to the hundreds. And people say, well, what does that have to do with anything? There's way more than hundreds. And they changed it to the hungry. But people thought it was kind of a weak-sounding name. So, eventually, they settled on the really awkward name Attila's Hunnish Attilas. And it stuck for a while. Became AHA, or AHA. And that's where the band AHA came from, actually. Attila's people eventually evolved into the band AHA. With their classic hit, Take on me, take on me. You can see how much their spirit and energy changed from the days of Attila the Hun. On their way to becoming the musical ensemble AHA. I think they may have also, part of their tribe may have split off to become NXS.
It makes sense to me somehow. Splitting off. Because, you know, it's NXS.
NXS is from Australia.
Oh.
One of the rare bands is from Australia that's any good, along with Men at Work, famously an Australian band that's pretty good, I guess. NXS, I'm not sure how really great they are, but I have that song. Talk to me.
Oh, yeah.
What is that song called? I can't remember most of it, but they're certainly better than that band that has that song, Master and Servant. You know that song? Let's play Master and Servant. You familiar with it? No? That band, like, I remember, what band is that? I'll look it up. A long time ago, that they had, like, credibility with critics, like, for being, like, oh, if you really know music, you like this band. I always hated that band. See. Let's play Master Depeche Mode. That's what the band is. I hate
Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode. Distress is my chode. Okay, AC/DC is another good Australian band. Fair enough. Good call there on the AC/DC.
Oh, AC/DC is from Australia?
I absolutely stand corrected.
Cool. Australia has some good music.
Depeche Mode, though? No.
No, I don't even know the song. I know one Depeche Mode song.
Which one?
Ding, 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 ding. Every time I think of you, I get a shock right through. Yeah.
Well, I don't hate that song. I like that song that she's singing. I like that one. But I don't like that Master and Servant song.
I don't know that song.
Master and Servant. It's a terrible song. The thing is with TE, it's kind of true. Of course, the world can't be run with anything but TE. But what I'm saying is not that TI should be in charge of figuring out how to do stuff. TI needs to be consulted first. TI comes before TE. In other words, let's say we're talking about legislation, and somebody says, well, we should do this bill because it's going to accomplish these outcomes. TI questions should have already been addressed, right? Whether or not this is constitutional, whether it's going to violate rights, whether it's fair, whether it's just, whether it's decent, and so forth. And if it doesn't validate on those levels, then it shouldn't get to the part where TE starts doing the job, right? The problem is that TE doesn't give a fuck. It's like TE users, they don't see things ultimately as universal problems, even if it's paired with NI. They see things as this is the broadest or highest ceiling solution to the problem, but it still links to their FI and their particular goal and situation, right? The only ACDC you roll with is the American Center for Disease Control. Well, you know what I have to say to you, Oliver Linehan? No nails and lashes. Okay? Just deal with it. Deal with it. I do like that the Depeche Mode song you were just singing. And pray.
Is that? Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
Jonathan Basanti, did you not hear me? I said no nails and lashes.
Oh my gosh, you did not just say that. It's a trigger.
I'm trying to sort of figure out the art of shorts. You know, shorts have a very different and distinct art form to them than do uploads or live streams. And I think that nails and lashes thing is exactly the sort of thing that people like that work as a short potentially.
The Nerds one really hit.
Oh yeah, the Nerds one blew up for like 20 minutes. It was pumping on YouTube and got like 1,000 views, and then it went off their high volume list or whatever.
Yeah.
Fair enough, Oliver. Fair enough. I am what's wrong with America. Anybody who doesn't love nails and lashes is not an American patriot, because nails and lashes are key to American hegemony, okay? Why do you think we're the global hegemon? Because we have the best nails and lashes. I'm going to go ahead and throw brows in the mix as well.
Brows is a good one to add.
Sure. And it's partially in honor of seeing Megan LaVota around for the first time in a long time.
Right? I was thinking Megan LaVota right away.
Well, yeah, because I watched her stream earlier today.
Well, I was thinking for brows.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I told you I watched her stream, right?
Yeah. Did you participate?
Of course. I cannot help but constantly make jokes in the chat the whole time I'm watching any stream.
That's good.
Oh, you just joined the chat because you can't abide us claiming Bizarre Love Triangle is by Depeche Mode. Okay, who is that song that I'm singing by then? If that's not Depeche Mode. Who was that?
What has Depeche Mode made?
Accuracy versus utility regarding your vag. It's like, you know, you could locate it accurately or you could use it well, but not both. So you have to ask yourself, do you know where your own vagina is? And if so, then you don't know how to use it properly. It's God's own law. Oh, that's New Order.
Oh,
that was New Order.
My bad. That makes a lot of sense then.
So what's a good Depeche Mode song? Are there any good Depeche Mode songs?
No wonder. What is a good
I thought you had falsified.
I know that.
I thought you had falsified my claim that Depeche Mode sucked with that example. But it turns out You just falsified a claim I didn't make. If I made the claim that New Order sucks, then you would have falsified it. Depeche Mode made that Personal Jesus song. You know, the one that goes, dumma 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 dumma.
It sounds like I would not like Depeche Mode.
I love that song. Dumma 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 dumma. I'm not a real man unless you replace my dainty feminine nails with real nails. Look at this. That's a man's nail, see? You know why? Because I smashed it with a rock and it grew back. Palsy Off Truth and Enjoy the Silence are excellent Depeche Mode songs. Okay, I'll check out Enjoy the Silence.
Those are probably the ones that I have on my playlist. Because, like, on the wiki, I noticed the picture and I was like, I definitely have Depeche Mode in my library of bands.
You know what I was thinking earlier? Is that the number 444 is a number in conflict with itself. Because despite being made all of fours, it's only 3 digits. 444 totally wishes it were 4,444. And it's never really going to feel okay about itself until it comes to terms with the fact that it's not a purebred 4. It's got a 3 built into it by virtue of it only having 3 digits. Do I have any dissenting opinion on this matter? Anybody disagree with me? I think it's pretty clear. It's a realization I had earlier in the subway when the lady who worked there had 444 tattooed on her arm. I thought to myself, 444, but only 3 of them? You know? Which is a natural thing to think. I didn't say that loud to her, though. It was probably a gang tattoo. 5555 is even sadder. You know, I hear 444 and 5555 I started dating, actually.
For a while in Hollywood, after the song, like, Jenny, I got your number, I wanna make you...
567-4309.
Yeah, they started using 555 instead because people would like 555 is known in Hollywood as like the filler number so that like no one can get pranked.
The thing is, what would be cool is if you could actually get a phone number that started with 555.
That is.
And then, of course, whenever you give anybody your phone number, they wouldn't believe you at first.
Yeah, so they really wouldn't.
You'd have to start by saying, now listen, you're not going to believe my phone number, but it's 555-4245. It's 555. I shit you not. I made a special deal with the phone company. Let me have 555, please. I'll give you guys a glowing recommendation on Yelp. And they said, okay. Then count to 7. Then count to 7. This monkey goes to heaven. So, what was I about to talk about? Oh, yes, right. SI triggers. And how many and what kind of such triggers are there and do NI people have? So, I'm going to start with some examples of SI triggers, which is one that's entirely particularist, basically, to me. Which is, anytime anybody says, today is Friday, I say or think, PE close, go home. Because in my middle school, every Friday, I was on a sign, the coach said, today's Friday, PE close, go home. So it stuck in my head to the link, right? But I was thinking about what kind of what are some other triggers? So another trigger for me is anytime I'm driving, let's say, and I'm looking here, so part of my attention is down the street, and I'm going to try to make sure no cars are coming, I'm going to go. And then I start talking to Rich, and I say, I've got to, usually the sentence was going to end with, go get cigarettes or whatever. But instead, because my attention is kind of split, and the pacing of the expression says, I've got to run away, I've got to get away, I always go to that, right? And then it occurred to me that I don't seem to have any such triggers with SE stuff. Instead, I trigger SI memories with SE stuff sometimes. So, for example, one could conceive of a person who every time they go into a new bathroom and they see a mirror in the bathroom, they sing the English beach song Mirror in the Bathroom. I can't think of any examples of things like that for me. In other words, all my triggers are words, I guess, and they trigger other words or songs or whatever. There was one more example I wanted to talk about. So the one type is you go from my particular experience to a repetition of the prompt, and so a repetition of the multiple times experienced consequent, right? Today is Friday, PE close, go home. In the second instance, the song is not originally linked to the expression in the way that it's linked in the first example. So in the first example, today is Friday didn't stand out at all as anything. It doesn't matter, and it also doesn't matter how you say today is Friday, right? It's not about the cadence, it's about a linkage that was trained in me between the expression today is Friday and PE close, go home. Because the coach would come in and say, today is Friday, and he'd expect like a response too, like PE close, go home, you know. So there was a lot of SI training going into that thing. With the tainted love thing, the linkage is in the cadence. So if I am not having my attention split and I just say, I've got to go to the store, I've got to doesn't make me go, run away, I've got to. In other words, it's got to have that delayed rhythm to it. And similarly, if I say, I don't want to wait, that doesn't prompt me. But if I say, I don't want to wait for my life to be over because, that's a regular trigger for me as well, because that cadence and way of phrasing it, I don't want to wait, is one of multiple but finite number of ways that people phrase that, including myself. And when it has that cadence, it triggers that association for me. So basically, my hypothesis here is that NI people probably won't have very many of the first kind that I talked about, which is today's Friday, PE close, go home. That is to say, a link with an expression from their own past that's just a rote association like that, rather than linking it all to cadence or meaning or something. They will have some of the song ones. There's a certain like minimum level which everybody can do, right? So if I say oh, say can you, people will fill in see by the dawn's early light, right? If you do the cadence enough and it's an obvious enough song, everybody knows it or whatever, even if you talk it, people will realize that it's the song. However, if you change the rhythmic delivery of it, it won't trigger. Okay, my duck. You just ATM machined that. The O is represented by the ho and Jose. So the extra machine isn't necessary. We're halfway there. Generally kicks Bon Jovi into my head. That's a good example. As soon as I read the first part of it, I was like,
Me too.
Anybody else think of any other examples of those things? I mean, that's not a definition. Organizing the physical world. So, if I have put this on top of this, have I used SI right there? If, I mean, I'm constantly organizing the physical world because it's not very well organized, so I'm moving things here and there and rearranging them, putting them in different places all the time. In other words, how would you test for organizing the world in some way other than observing whether you believe them to be organized or whether they test out as being well organized against a mean? And most importantly, organizing the physical world is a behavior, not a way of paying attention. So you'd have to explain first and foremost why it is you're describing behaviors as though they were attentional manners. After all, we could put a list of infinite behaviors organizing the physical world. You might say that category includes all cleaning and organizational tasks, but it doesn't necessarily include things like mowing the lawn or pruning the trees, taking good care of your plants. It doesn't include things such as managing your cat's health. I could list infinite behaviors. And so the question is, which ones qualify under which category and why, right? Obviously, organizing the physical world can't be a definition of a cognitive function because it's not describing a way of paying attention. It's describing a behavior. So a proper definition of introverted sensing would say it's a way of knowing that is predicated on a mechanism of repetition in order to internalize an impression or a copy of something. And the thing is, SI DOMs do look to the past typically to set up their lives in traditional ways, but even that's wrong, right? Instead, what's happening there is SI DOMs, as they express in ways that we can view, are revealing what it looks like when somebody uses repetition as the core way of knowing. So repetition as a core way of knowing means you are linking a given thing to yourself experientially. So one of the reasons why I have trouble one of the reasons why I have NI ignoring. One of the ways in which being an NE Dom expresses is that I don't really trust my intuition or feel like I have something to intuit about until I've experienced something enough to feel as though I know it. And what that means is, like, if I want to... So sometimes when a video does better than most, I'll watch it more times than most. So if I note something has a much higher percentage of likes, I'll watch it a few times. And the reason is because I want to understand or know that video and why it worked or whatever. So I know it when it no longer surprises me at all. Now, it doesn't mean I have the whole thing memorized. It just means I always know what's coming next. And I have down in my head, like, each bit of the thought process that's in front of me right now, I have a small moving window of understanding of exactly what came before it and after it that prevents me from ever being surprised throughout the whole thing because I've seen it too many times. It's like, as I move through it, I recall my thought process, which I've rebuilt each of the times I've watched it. And so then, as soon as it doesn't surprise me anymore, I don't ever watch it again for a long time. Now, that's not true of music. It's only true of talking videos. But it's easier for me to know more quickly when something is not what I want it to be, not good, and why. Like, I'm not very happy with that earlier video I made in the car because it's kind of making a mistake I keep making over and over again, which is thinking, like, that I need to get people to understand these certain frame level things, and then the rest will cascade down. But that cascading down thing, it's only for types that are particularly mappy, and so it's never going to happen. Instead of worrying about getting everybody on board agreeing with the basic premises, there's a lot of ideational stuff I'd like to work with, sort of, that doesn't involve me defending or winning the point that the premises are correct, So it's like this SI trigger thing that I'm talking about, I think is it's promising in terms of what one might do with it as a typing assessment, and or how it might shed light on the difference between SI and NI and how they work. So my definition and understanding of SI is one that provides you a mechanics. It says, I can give you an example of somebody using SI consciously right now. Don't forget that thing you have at 11 o'clock, Eric. 10 minutes later. Hey, oh shit, did you forget that thing? Oh, no, you still okay. Okay, 11 o'clock, gotcha. Okay, don't forget, Eric. 10 minutes later. 11 o'clock thing, Eric, don't forget. You seem to be good about it, but I think you got it, but don't forget. 10 minutes later. Like, it's literally that, right? That's how SI works, is it keeps actively in front of you the things you need to keep track of. And to the extent that it wants to learn something, it's through repeatedly experiencing that. SI links, therefore, to things like muscle memory. My fingers remember how to play chords. I don't have to know it intellectually and apply it every time I go to put a C chord, right? That's SI as well. It's repetition, imprinting identity, rather than a person intuiting identity directly. So it was punctuality. Do I think SI is punctual? Well, I mean, I think punctuality is really it's like punctuality is a good example of something that you shouldn't use you shouldn't link to cognitive functions, because everybody has varying compelling reasons to not be chronically unreliable in terms of getting places on time. And so somebody could be punctual for any number of different reasons and have arrived at the observable outcome of punctuality via any number of different attentional manners. And if you're going about thinking about cognitive functions like that by going, well, SI people are well organized, SI people are punctual, then you're failing to understand what we're doing with cognitive functions. We're not describing behaviors. We're explaining how two people who both do the same behavior could be totally different types and how that would manifest differently for each of them, right? That's probably the best way to put it. So cognitive functions needs to answer this question. When two different types have the same behavior, how do you explain them differently? If I'm punctual and I'm Jody, I might be punctual because this thing I'm super excited about. I can't wait to get there. It's like if they let me get in 6 hours early, I'd get in there 6 hours early and just wait and go open, 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 like that old Mervin's commercial. But I'm just gonna get there. I'm gonna be certainly not gonna be late, regardless. If I'm Joe, I'm punctual because I've got a tight schedule and I've got to be there right on time so I can get the thing over with and go to the next thing. If I'm Bob, I might be punctual because I want this guy to think I'm very responsible, whether I am or not. These all are indicative of different attentional approaches resulting in the same behavior, the same observable behavior. Now, if you're always punctual, that's a little bit more informative, but still going to be quite contingent on your circumstances. I don't doubt that anybody in North Korea working under Kim Jong-un is late very often. I'm sure they're not late at all, no matter what personality type they are, because there's sufficient impetus for them to be on time that they'll be on time, one way or the other. Now, what would be revelatory about type would be how each individual approaches this, attaining that same goal. Then that's going to tell you about their type. And so what you end up with people who don't understand that basic reality is something like, a jumper type of FINI. It's like two introverted functions in the first two function slots or something. It's so silly because if you deliberated first and then intuited, right? First you deliberate out the complex question of what's more emotionally relevant to you personally. And then next you know universally what archetypes and identities reveal about this situation. The problem with that is they're both ways of engaging externally. In other words, once you've deliberated out your feelings, well, then you use that to help you TE better, right? It helps guide the TE. Once you intuited out your intuition, your knowledge, it links with extroverted intuition mostly, in terms of helping provide the building blocks that extroverted intuition can use to tell these stories and stuff, right? But the problem is that they are not necessarily in agreement with each other at all. So NI might say, listen, Julie, to be totally blunt, you're just not good enough for him. That might be that person's opinion or something, right? FI might say, I know I want him a lot. So they're directly in contradiction with each other in that context. So how does it make any sense for a person's nature to continually engage in incompatible ways attentionally, such that the two ways produce conflicting results and therefore indicate conflicting courses of action, and expect somebody to function like that. It's like saying, it's hard to come up with a good analogy. Well, I mean, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like, it's kind of like in a baseball game. So, if you could imagine somebody calling a baseball game and breaking your brain, they'd say, and Joey Smith hits the ball into the infield where the second baseman scoops it up and throws him out at first, whereupon the shortstop scoops it up and throws him out at first. There's a problem by saying you've got two infielders making a play before anything else happens, right? So I'll repeat that. Joey Smith hits the ball into the infield, whereupon we've got the second baseman scooping it up and throwing it to first to make the out, whereupon we've got the shortstop scooping it up to throw it to first to make the out. It doesn't make any sense. Before anybody else in the infield can feel the ball and throw it inside, there needs to be another ball hit, right? The same thing is analogously so with cognitive functions. You can't have fi, ni in a stack 1, 2. It doesn't make any sense because your 1, 2 define the whole stack. And yeah, Jonathan Basanti, I think that's a great analogy if you had the second one be 20 divided by 2 instead of a second plus. So you have a third function in there, you know. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think you know what I mean. I mean you did plus 2 times, whereas you did multiplies only one time, yeah. It would be better to have 3 different functions. Oh yeah. You were thinking that, but were you singing it? It's because you hadn't been singing it earlier. That's why. You're like, I'm not gonna go back and fix it. I'm just gonna push enter. Okay. Somebody's like, God, you're annoying. You're being stubbornly, purposefully not understanding me. No, I do understand you. I understand the tenderness of your moistures. Bell neck will be the new fashion trend. Do I have a bell neck? This is called a bell neck shirt because the collar looks like a bell.
Not that I'm aware of.
You know what song I like?
What song?
You can ring my bell, ring my bell, my bell. I like that song. Of course, it's a lie. If I had a bell, especially if it was a large bell, like a church bell or a town center bell, I would probably just want to reserve the ringing of it to myself, because otherwise you're just inviting a lot of unnecessary noises. Like, God, is that bell ringing again? Okay, time for me to put a sign. Nobody ring this goddamn bell. It's my bell. That's what I'm thinking about this bell ringing phenomenon. Maybe that could be the newest urban legend, that all around the world, people are starting to hear bells in the sky. And usually they're playing dong dingy dong dingy dong dingy dong dingy. We could call it the Great Dong Dingy Invasion. we posit that it's the speech of the dingy alien people. Because what I posit is that everywhere except on Earth works like Pokemon World, where whatever a creature's species name is, that's the only word they can say. If you imagine Earth operating like Pokemon World, then when birds chirp and stuff, it's like the pigeon chirping, it would just say, pigeon, 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 pigeon. If there was a squirrel chittering, it would just say, squirrel, 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 squirrel. If there were a blue whale in the ocean making its whale song would be singing, blue whale, etc., and so forth. If people were like Pokemon, they'd just walk around only saying human, human, human. And think how much more difficult communication would be. Oh yes, it is true. Jonathan Basani points out an important point here. You can choose to change which syllable of your name is accented. So, like, a kitty cat could say, kitty, 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 kitty cat. Except, of course, the interesting thing about Pokemon World, if you share the mechanics of Pokemon World, then there's also got to be at least one animal, one instance of one species that talks regular English. It's called the Meowth phenomenon. Nobody can really explain Meowth. Why did Meowth acquire the capacity to say words other than Meowths, while his fellow Meowths could only say Meowths? It's a Meowth free. Eric, ENTP. 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 No, ENTP. ENTP. Slowking can talk too. They did explain why Meowth can talk. Why can Meowth talk? I need to know. Inquiring minds want to know. I must know the answer. Why can Meowth talk? Is it because they injected him with talk serum? It's because he's an NE-DOM? What about, the thing is, if anybody should be able to talk in Pokemon, it should be Jigglypuff. Jigglypuff clearly has a lot to say, has a lot of important insights to share.
Big personality, tough.
Well, I think she should become a sleep hygiene guru. A sleep hygiene guru, where she coaches ENTJs to conquer their polar by putting them to sleep with her Jigglypuff song. Meowth hybrid? Are you telling me Meowth's a Meowth hybrid? That is an atrocity on nature. You should never breed humans with Meowths. I mean, Psyduck, fine. Who could resist having sex with Psyduck? Jigglypuff, Jigglypuff. I believe that's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, Hamza, I mean, do you mean physical resemblance? You mean personality-wise? It is a fairly faithfully made ENTP character, accepting all the TE magic, but that's to be expected with, Adventure Time hero kind of thing. Lickitung? Lickitung is a great name. I didn't know there was a Pokemon named Lickitung. Lickitung. Well, as I said before, Hamza, it's important to remember that Rick resembles me, not the other way around. I've been me for a long ass time. A lot longer than Rick has existed. Pokemon is a cross between cockfighting and dogfighting. You mean it's cock-dogging? It's a weird mutant thing with a giant tongue. It is a giant tongue. It doesn't have one. It's just a giant tongue, probably. They also have another one that's got a name like that. I'm trying to think. Can't remember what it is. But I can't remember. It's on the tip of my brain. Have I always been this cool? No. I haven't always been this cool, but the funny thing is, that's another conceit of Rick and Morty, is that, well, maybe not. It's like when I was a drunk, like Rick, I was a lot more conventionally successful. And I guess you could call Rick conventionally successful. I was a professional who was very successful measured against his colleagues and contemporaries in the field, you know? So, and I was in charge of a lot of people and had a lot of responsibility and stuff like that. So, to the extent that I resemble Rick, it's because of the falsehood of that conceit, which is, when I was more successful by conventional metrics, I was also a lot less public. I was a lot less of a public person. Because I was drinking and I didn't trust myself, you know? So, the thing is, as this subject came up recently in a recent stream, I don't remember who brought it up. Maybe it wasn't you, Hamza, or maybe it was, but I see Rick as a sad guy. I feel bad for that character, so to speak. I identify with him in various ways, but I'm glad I'm not stuck where that character's stuck. So, I mean, Rick is it's basically he's running afoul of the toxicity level of his treatment. So, what I mean by that is, being an ENTP is not an ontologically easy thing to be. In that you are always putting yourself out there, but you don't ever really believe in yourself. And yet, you come across as incredibly self-certain. But I mean, it has to do with this whole FI, the idea of FI being a necessary thing to be good at in order to make good decisions about waiting on shit. Like, that part of FI Polar is failing the Marshmallow test. They give you one marshmallow. If you wait, you can have two. No, I just eat this one right now. It's fine. One now is better than two a little bit later. Especially since you won't tell me specifically how long I'll have to wait. Why can't counterfactual conditionals, like if I were a dog, I would be cute, follow from universal generalizations, all dogs are cute? They can, sure. All dogs are cute, it logically follows that if I were a dog, I would be cute. It's not counterfactual, it's subjunctive mood. If it said, therefore, because I'm a dog, I'm cute, it would not follow, because there's nothing in the generalization all dogs are cute that indicates you're a dog. Let's see. It's My Little Pony. She's skinny and bony. She eats rice-a-roni. She's fake and she's phony. She's my little pony. Delilah didn't like it when I sang that song when she was a little kid. She didn't like my changing of the words from how it was supposed to be to skinny and bony, fake and phony. I think she was not focused on the silliness of the lyrics for so much as she was the diss to My Little Pony, whom she didn't appreciate being dissed. So Delilah really didn't like it when I sang Christmas songs out of season. She'd always be like, stop! I'm gonna trespass, get in trouble, but catch a Pokemon. At least a digital one, which is kind of fun and nah. So, being cool is hard to do. I'd like to be cool, but the older you get, the fewer paths of coolness are available to you. I'm nevertheless managed to pull off occasional moments of coolness, which I think of as like this shirt, and other things that are very carefully shaved away from a myriad of mistakes that surround it. Like, it's very hard to be cool without making a misstep of some sort. So, unfortunately for HP, it's like you go through the world trying to be less of trying to make fewer eyes roll, and gradually, bit by bit, they kind of roll a little less often, vigorously, rapidly, whatever you want to say. Are you giving it to me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so romantic.
I'm glad you think so.
I don't know where the thing is, though.
I think it's put back in.
I'll go get it. Augment my reality with your augmented reality. Augment my reality one more time. 'Cause this reality is saying I'm an augmented today, and I would like augmentation now, please. So, the augmented reality song? You haven't seen whom in a minute. You haven't seen your mother yet today. She's called a number of times saying, hey. Why won't you come and visit and bring over some donuts? Because I'm feeling hungry for some sweets. Oh, so how's she doing? She's fine. I talked to her just the other day about we're having a luncheon with my mom, my dad, Delilah, Rachel, me on the 10th, and I had talked to her, pinned down that date and time. We didn't chat much. She kind of sounded like she wanted to chat, and I was kind of like, okay, this is one of a number of things I got to do here. Or I was just kind of like, I'm trying to get this task done, There's a better way to say it. The thesaurus says another word for cool is crisp. The thesaurus is lying. I don't think crisp and cool are really synonyms, but I appreciate you saying that I'm crisp. I think the best synonym for cool is tepid. Oh my God, that is so tepid. That's a very exotic flavor of tepid malaise you have there. Is it embroined with beef fat? What's embroin mean? Embroin is like to it's like to bring out the springiness of something. Like, let's say something currently has a very low springiness quality, and you were to wrap it up and wind it up and twist it up into a spring shape, then you would embroin it. Embroin. I've embroined this wire into a spring. It is a sentence that spring makers frequently say when making springs. Not mountain springs, not seasonal springs, not natural springs, not artesian springs, but rather coiled springs of the springing variety. From my perspective, all of the cool, sexy types are far more difficult to actually live life as. You mean INFJs, ENTPs, INTPs, INTJs? Yeah. We kind of get the worst of both worlds, right? You get a bunch of people in typology who aren't your type saying they're your type. You get a bunch of people in typology who, regardless of their type, saying to you, you aren't that type. And then you can currently get to be fundamentally less capable than they at everything that is practical. I mean, INTJs are kind of an exception, but even INTJs, it's like they end up in these weird honeycombs of their passions. Like, they've got 3 screens over here with day trading going on, and they've got, this thing mining crypto over here, and their lives turn into the hideout of the crew the part of the hideout of the crew that's pulling the job that is dedicated to the tech guy, the hacker, you know. Mattress Springs. Mattress Springs is a good name for a town. You know? It's like you can see all those towns and things like Kirsten Springs. I like Mattress Springs. They're always saying things already. They are always saying things. I've often thought, God, if we could just hold them accountable for all the things they say and all the things they do, all the things they wish, and all the blame that they deserve. Boy, it would be Blame Party 2022 if we could just find all of them and hold them accountable for being they. Damn theirs. I like to call them the dominant elite.
Dominant elite.
The dominant elite.
It's a good title for them.
Mattress Springs was your ex's nickname? Okay. That was her nickname before you started going out with her. That's more of a, not so much a take home to mom kind of girl. Oh, I trade Pokemon cards with all kinds of people. I'm not WM. Doesn't matter. I'm allowed to hijack any question and make it my own. It's my stream. If you don't like it, you can hit the red. Welcome to Indianapolis, everybody. What you see behind you are the scenic sights of Indianapolis. You see the struggle of that guy trying to lift a flag of the United States. You see that guy, poor guy's got bells stabbed into his neck for some reason. His name is Just Bells. It's an advertisement for a store called Just Bells. They only serve bells. They only sell bells there. I would like to have a store called Just Bells that only has bells. That's the only thing it sells. People come in and say, do you have any bell polish? No. We have just bells. Do you have any opinions on which bells is best for me? No. We have just bells. All we have. It's not called Eric's Bells, though. It's called Just Bells. Okay? And no matter what anybody asks of anybody employee there, they've been instructed to answer, I'm sorry, no. We just have bells. That's why we're called Just Bells. Do you have a bathroom? No, we just have bells. Do you have a phone? No. Did you not read the sign? Just bells. That's all we have here. There's like no chairs in the place. There's no counter. No cash register.
Oh, wow, this is getting pretty...
In order to buy something there, you have to make the transaction outside of the business. So you point to the one you want. The guy will walk you outside, and they only accept cash. And it's always a round amount. So it's like, let's say the price on the bell is $110 even. They're all like even, you know. Then you walk outside the door, it goes, let's call it $130 with tax. And he goes, but 20 bucks tax on $110? That seems kind of high. Look, obviously, I'm not a tax guy. All we have is bells. Hence the name, Just Bells. Now can you give me $130, please? No, it has no edible bells. Just bells, sorry. Do you have edible bells? What's the name of our store? Just Bells. What do you think the answer is? Maybe? No, the answer is no. It doesn't say Just Bells, parentheses, including special, not really bells. Okay? We also don't have bell-shaped dogs. We don't bake cakes in the shape of bells. We don't talk about bells. We don't have books on bells. We have no components of bells. It's just bells, okay? Why would anybody get this through their fucking head? I'd like to return this. I'm sorry, we don't have that. This is just bells. I mean, I'd like to return this bell. I'm sorry, this is just bells. We only have bells. Well, would you like this one? No. It doesn't work. Oh, we don't have solutions here. We just have bells. We don't have a way of satisfying customers because obviously that's not a bell. You seem to have an answer to my question. Technically, my answer is a bell.
Are you guys related to Taco Bell?
No. You know why? Because they have tacos as well as bells. We're just bells. That's the key difference. No, I can't get you a full sandwich. This is a half-eaten sandwich store. Well, Just Bells can be next door to all licenses all the time in some of my other wonderful businesses, like More Than Just Condiments. I think those three go together well. All licenses all the time, Just Bells, and More Than Just Condiments. Right side by side in the mini mall, right? More Than Just Condiments, well, it's got a lot more than just condiments. It's got sauces, it's got toppings. It's got schmears. It's got accoutrement. It's got relishes and chutneys. Assorted chips and sups of the ke variety. Bong rib time. Ding ding. You know what, Artie? You are a real American patriot.
Yes.
There are times when I neglect my SI duty to smoke a bong rip. And it is in times like that, when a friend is in need, that somebody out there named Artie is a friend indeed. To remind me, hey, smoke that bong rip. Relax a little bit. You've been talking your mouth off. Yeah. The day I give in to the socialists is the day I pack up shop and mail myself to Barbados. I've always said that, haven't I, Rachel? No cards. Just bells. Okay. No, we don't have any business cards. This is just bells. No, we have no gift cards. No, we have no online sales. We have no information for you about any of our products. I have no idea. So, is this bell pitched? It's a bell. I know that. Having businesses as art projects is something that really appeals to me. Of course, all of my businesses would lose money because they're terrible ideas. But they would really make me laugh to do the training for the Just Bell store and explain to people what their job is. Now listen, let's practice this. So, can you tell me more about this bell? No? That's right, go ahead. No, I cannot. Why not? Because it's the Just Bells. We don't have anything else for you. Are you sure you want me to say this, boss? Absolutely. You don't. Your quickest way to get fired around here is to provide anybody anything but a bell. I'd like to speak to your manager. Sorry, this is Just Bells. We don't have any of those here. I think the lady stomping her foot. God, that Just Bell story is so annoying. They won't answer any of my questions. It's like they don't even care if they make a sale. It's like a religion about being just bells. Well, all businesses would lose money before they made any. Huh. I mean, I didn't really experience that, but mine's not a typical story. Because I was able to, I got fired / breach of contract, like screwed by my boss, but I still had a lot of cred in the overall community, so I had plenty of capacity to get people to work with me right off the bat without having to like advertise or anything. But running a business is a fucking pain in the ass. Let me tell you that. It's not for me. Too much meowing. Too much planning, too much long-term TE, too much like prepping shit out 3 months in advance of things, and it's just a nightmare. It's like, makes me want to say, take this job and shove it. I was the director of Cooties, College for Youth Leadership, which was this debate program, and basically there was after a 5 or 6 year run of being one of the most successful programs in the country, and the arena in which we competed, I quit drinking, and then there became a growing rift between us because I was no longer primarily concerned with hiding and preserving my drinking. I was primarily concerned. I was liberated to take some risks or to stand up for things or have opinions or be like, not just submit to what she says, kind of really grumble and go do it, And things got weird. She tried to manufacture cause to breach for fire me because I was under contract. She couldn't really fire me. And the way she tried to do that was to, like, for a whole week, she emailed me all these random extra assignments, and but I was more on top of it than she expected me to be, and I got them all, like, right back to her. She set these weird, ridiculous timetables and stuff, and then when it came time for the weekend, she's like, well, I need you to redo this over the weekend. And I said, well, you realize that you've already assigned me well over 40 hours of work this week, right? Because we were at that point kind of, because she was purposely at that point trying to make me fuck up by giving me ridiculous shit so she could fire me for it. And then I mentioned that I logged it all the hours, so she was fucked at this point. And then I was never able to speak to her again after that. She just withdrew all communication. I received this package of firing things in the mail, which was bullshit. It claimed that I had basically, I forget the term, but like talked shit about the company out in the world. But the thing that she quoted as evidence for that was an email from me to her in-house that never left the house. So it was complete bullshit. Anyway, I have done that already. That's why I was talking about the business I ran for a couple of years. And the thing is, it was exactly the same thing. I mean, it's not any different than running the teams at Cooties. My boss wasn't a debate coach. She was a businesswoman. I was a director. And sure, I'd love to chat with Thor. That'd be fine. Sure, I could invite Thor over for a chat here. I mean, I'd want to have a clear understanding of what I was going to talk to him about specifically. I think that a lot of people are hesitant to engage with me like that because they see me as unpredictably maybe going to attack them or something. What job would you hate the least, I wonder? I realize that all jobs are pain for the simple fact that they're a mandate linked to a financial reward that's directly correlated with my security. I mean, I did not hate being a debate coach at all. It was great for a chunk of my life. Chunks including when I was drinking, but I wasn't quite such a drunk. Chunks that include when I was a big drunk. I never really hit a low. I never saw the drinking impact my personal or professional life in ways that anybody would call a low bottom. But spiritually, psychically, I was as low as I could get by the end of that. But then I've also had good success after being sober too. So, I mean, debate coach is a perfect job for an HP. But one's priorities change and one's interests change and one's, it's like, what made debate coaching such a great job for me is it was zero sum. It was real work in a way that nothing else in education is real work. So it's like, teachers in classrooms aren't really in direct competition with each other. And that's why education sucks so much, in part. if the two history teachers' classes were going to compete against each other, then there'd be some impetus for the shitty teacher to get better. There'd be some sense of accomplishment and validation for the people who are good teachers. How many years did I drink? Well, I drank from age, my teenage years. I had some stretches of not drinking, of months, of a year here, like at age 22 or something. I went a year, and it wasn't continually as bad as it was at the end. But overall, I drank from, around 15 or 16 is when I first started drinking, like maybe every weekend, to 42, until I was 42. Well, debate teaches critical thinking skills for a lot of types of people, but some types it's fundamentally incompatible with them. So there's no point in getting ESFPs to do debate, and getting ENFPs to do debate may not be a good idea, because they can learn it and they can get pretty okay at it, but it doesn't really seem to teach them any disinterest, which makes them, you don't want to arm the enemy of your enemy too much, right? Because they're not your ally. So, in general, I've got what might be considered unusual perspectives on how people ought to understand themselves as limited. Generally, anybody who purports to provide advice about things, or worldview wisdoms or musings or thoughts or philosophies or whatever, is going to critique limiting beliefs as a negative thing. That what's holding you back are your limiting beliefs about yourself. Well, I will agree that limiting beliefs are bad in the particular, which is to say, to the extent that you say, I can't do this because I'm a shitty human or a bad person, that's not good, or just a worthless person, that's not good. But to the extent that you say, I acknowledge who I am, which includes my strengths and my weaknesses, and this particular matter is not one I am well suited attentionally to address, so I'm going to defer to others accordingly in this area. I think that would be ideally how the world manifests. And what that means is, for example, I'm not in favor of get out the vote campaigns as a general good. I will not say, you know what, whoever you vote for, just make sure you get out there and vote. I will say as a candidate, if you don't vote for me, you shouldn't vote at all. And unless you actually feel genuinely informed about civics, don't vote. You probably won't make a good decision. Be honest with yourself about how qualified you are or ready you are to vote on a given issue or candidate. If you don't feel like you're well qualified, don't vote at all on that. You can go vote on just one or two things. You don't have to vote on everything on the ballot, If you just want to vote for president, just vote for president. And if you don't know, I don't know which of these local court judges to vote for, then don't vote in that election. And if you just don't think you're very politically engaged in a disinterested way, and in a way that's ready to deal with things as adults talking about admittedly dry and boring public policy matters, then welcome to the dry and boring, not rage fest that is genuine governance, it's boring. It should be boring. It's dry. It's boring. It's like debating the capital gains tax, Even if we concede the framework that taxing wealthy people and somehow redistributing it via either in-kind benefits, direct cash payments, or other subsidized programs like Medicare, etc. Then we have to debate, well, what are the actual impacts financially of taxing via this mechanism on the populations we're purporting to help? And so it's like you gotta argue both on the framework level and on the utilitarian level. You've got to cite economists. It's a long, dull, boring process to be a genuine person who's engaged appropriately in governance. So, like, try to be accordingly bland in your emotional relationship with politics, rather than being so enamored with this or that. I mean, I get it. I'm somebody who cries when he talks about certain things about America, and it's because I feel a great sorrow at seeing the principles that have thus far manifested primarily as more equity, more justice, that those same principles be tossed aside as the equity attained empowers people of all perspectives to voice their opinions. It's a shame to see that in the process of sort of attaining this social equality through mass education and such, that we failed to put foundation first and say, these are axiomatic things. This is what it means to have axiomatic things. This is what preserves our liberty. This is what preserves who we are. This comprises the core of our identity as a nation, as a constructed approach to governance. It's like America's kind of like a personality type, in that it's a way to attain the prime directive, a way to convert an unpredictable and often unfair and greedy world into a place where each individual can function according to their own autonomy, pick and choose their own life path, and be responsible for its costs and enjoy its benefits accordingly. Those things are starting points from which all American education should have long begun, and they should have been reinforced throughout the grades. That this is what it means to be a responsible citizen in this citizen democracy. Instead, it's it's like giving guns to children. If you do enough training to give a bunch of children guns, and have trained them enough to know how to take the safety off and use them and stuff, and then set them loose, you're in for some trouble, probably. So now you all you group of boys who we each issued a handgun, go play unsupervised over there. You're gonna end up with some shot people, right? So the thing is, it's the same thing with education, mass education, and mass suffrage, I guess you'd say, which is the inclusion of ever more parties in the voting populace. But I would note that none of the limited voting things in the past ever worked better, because it's ultimately not about how educated a person is. It's about their cognitive function stack. And only certain stacks are well suited to governing justly and pragmatically at the same time. And most people aren't those types. It's like the Greeks figured it out a long time ago when they talked about the philosopher king. The understanding that was key there was the guy who doesn't really want power, doesn't really want the job, but feels like he should do it because he's more qualified than everybody, and also that's objectively so, even though people will disagree. The idea of the philosopher king is as close as we can imagine to a perfect society, is one in which you have the perfect leader. Because we can't conceive of any structured society that doesn't end up with power differentials. The best we can do is to make not personal all of the enforcements of those things. So in other words, the key element in law and order is that I and other people who are interested parties in a matter don't get to decide independently what justice is, nor do I independently get to attain it. I have to go through the state, who has a monopoly on use of force. These are from Indianapolis, Eliana D. And they have inspired what will surely be the next major multinational corporation with an IPO that brings in trillions, namely Just Bells. The new store is Just Bells. That's all it sells. Bells. Talk about Biden's brain. It's between his ears, above his chin, below his scalp, and riding around in a vaguely roundish thing on top of his neck, which stretches from his shoulders to the base of his head. Which types do I think are best fit to govern? I mean, it's like one can imagine an ENTJ, INTJ, ENTP, INTP, maybe INFJ, maybe even some kind of, maybe an ESTP, that any of them would potentially fall into a class of people, say, that you might call maybe ISFJ, class of people that you might say is potentially of a type in which a particular individual might manifest all the perfect storm of things. For each type, there's going to be a perfect storm of particulars that has to happen as well. If you don't have the perfect storm of particulars, then you individually are not qualified. So it takes a couple of different things going on there. I think Barack Obama was an ENTP. I've always said and maintained that. But that's what I'm saying. It's a necessary but insufficient condition to be one of certain types, okay? But it is a necessary but insufficient condition. You also have to have a perfect storm of various things. So, in other words, Obama learned how to... Obama experienced continual reinforcement of FE slather, and it became his go-to approach. Well, he's still an ENTP, but you know what I mean. He ceases to exist once he stops being president. And he didn't understand, nor did he want, nor did he have any idea of how to go to war with his opposition. I think he was a 9.
Yeah, it's just.
I hadn't thought about that before, but yeah, I do. I think he probably was a 9. That probably explains a lot. That's why it was, because the thing is, there was nothing there. It was a bunch of sound and fury signifying nothing from the Republicans in the outset of that administration. And then Obama's persistent weakness in the face of it created blood in the water where there really wasn't any, except by virtue of his failure to respond appropriately. And they hamstrung him and handicapped him as a president for the rest of the 8 years. Now, he did get his ACA, Affordable Care Act, passed, but it turned out to be a mangled clusterfuck of pushed together shit, right? That's this huge, overreaching bill that tries to do everything and nothing at the same time. And that ultimately doesn't end up doing what it promised to do. Trump's an ESFP. In other words, the Affordable Care Act promised to rid the world of free riders by making insurance companies accept everybody, but also making everybody get health insurance. Except it hasn't worked out like that. Instead, it shifted the burden onto the government even more. They still have Medicare, this massive program. Now they've got this additional insurance, free insurance or insurance subsidy program. And they've not solved the issue. They've just taken it on as a government via this sort of pretend solution to free riders that's really just a way of getting most people to have a small copay rather than just be completely uninsured. Do you think the ACA mandate will play a role in the Vax mandate? Supreme Court ruling, I mean, it shouldn't, because the Supreme Court's rationale regarding the ACA mandate was that it was a tax, ridiculously. And there's no way you can argue that the vaccine is a tax.
Honestly, Boba Fett, you can definitely meme Obama jazz soloist for sure, and put some like sunglasses on him.
Eliana D, I think you're not understanding either exactly what FI is or how FE demonstrative works maybe too. Because the thing is, Trump was doing nothing but displaying FI authenticity. He was true to his word. He said what he was going to do on the campaign trail, and then he proceeded to try to do it. He knew what he wanted. He wanted loyalty. He wanted his way. He wanted uniform support without any pushback, and he kept firing people who didn't get that from. And when pushed to justify things, he had no justifications except things like, I got a hunch. Nothing like an ESTP would do. So he's definitely an ESFP. I'm a very stable genius. That's totally 6-slot FE in an ESFP specifically. ESFP's 6-slot FE manifests like this. I'm going to tell you how you perceive me, okay? No, I already told you. You perceive me like this. You don't know me. You can't put me in a box. I'll tell you what I am and you agree with me. It's very ham-fisted like that. You see that in Trump as a perfect example to demonstrate, or a perfect case study to exemplify 6-slot FE. What do you want Hamza to debate me about, Artie? I'm not especially in the mood to debate, but I could talk to anybody about whatever. Maybe personality disorders are interfering with my idea of his type. I mean, I don't even think he has a personality disorder so much as he is just an ESFP who was incredibly entitled and spoiled his whole life and sort of internalized that as his birthright. Well, what I'm saying specifically, Jonathan Basanti, is his approach to managing the narrative field. I'm not talking about his policies, his actions, or whatever. I'm talking about his continual avoidance of the fray argumentationally. So the Republicans were full on attacking him on everything. And he just never got the idea that he needed to stop trying to be like, surely there's some way we can have a rational conversation here. And he needed to play some fucking offense, you know? Now, I'm not saying that I wish Obama had been more empowered to implement an agenda that I have very mixed feelings about. And I certainly oppose the healthcare stuff. But I am saying that he's an EHP who nevertheless didn't have all the things he needed to have in place to be a good president. Whereas Bill Clinton was an ENFJ who had everything he needed to have in place to be a good president. And he was a good president. No matter how much you hate him or whatever, no matter how much you think he was a bad person, and you may be completely right about that, he was an excellent president. Mostly hands-off, mostly restriction removing, oversaw one of the most prosperous periods of American history, had a surplus instead of a deficit, crazily, inspired people to feel confident and comfortable that their country was in good hands. And he was an ENFJ. I think very, very few ENFJs, very few of them have that perfect storm of stuff to be a good president. Every president is going to be viewed somewhat decisively, but Bill Clinton, divisively I should have said, but Bill Clinton has been burdened by his wife. So people hate Hillary Clinton so much, and I can understand why, but some of that spills onto Bill Clinton, and I think that he's unfairly maligned by team people who aren't fairly judging him historically as a president. So it's true that every president's going to have some questionable shit go down or whatever, but it's not true that every president's going to be a person who lacks character in their personal life like Bill Clinton did. But it is also the case that it's not you don't have to have somebody who's morally pure in their sex life or whatever to have a good president. So Bill Clinton was a good president. He was also, I guess you could say, a bad man, you know? He was a womanizer, and
he's not a relationship guy.
Well, it's also fair to say he took advantage of a power disparity in a way that a power disparity plus nativity in a way that I can't conceive of myself ever dreaming of doing. Like, if I were president and there's this buxom 19-year-old Monica Lewinsky, I don't care how badly she wanted to suck my dick, even if I were single, I wouldn't let it happen, because it's unbecoming the office, it's unbecoming our respective ages, natures, and roles. It's not fair to her. It's even, and you might say, well, but why are you telling her what she wants? She's a grown woman, and I get that, but at least don't do it on the job, I guess. It's like, not in the Oval Office. There's a certain dignity to the fucking office that you have to respect. You have to remember, when you are in that office, when you are wearing that suit and fulfilling that role, that you are not a person, you are a servant of the country in that capacity. And it may be true that a substantial minority of the country would want to get that blowjob, but that doesn't mean you're representing your constituency well by accepting it. That was his only real problem in his presidency, was he had that scandal over having that chick give him a blowjob. And that's what everybody wants to. It's indelibly stuck with his his record as a president. Obama did not have orgies in the Oval Office. Orgy porgy, Broccoli Todd. Obama did not have orgies. He probably went off and pulled bong rips and salt.
Yeah.
That's what I imagine Obama doing. Saying, fuck this shit. Why did I do this? I'm going off to, like, pull bong rips, sulk, and maybe, like, play a video game or something. He liked to play basketball, too.
I was just going to say, playing a basketball game.
No. It's a common misconception. Fly Guy says, don't all the presidents have blood orgies with the Illuminati? The actual reality is, it's the Bloods who have illuminated orgies, as in the Crips and Bloods.
Oh.
That's what was reported originally. Got all mixed up. The correct reporting of that is the Bloods have illuminated orgies.
Illuminated?
Yeah, in other words, they leave the lights on when they have their orgies.
Oh.
But they are violent gang members, so it's not really that surprising that they engage in such debauchery. And much more believable than what, unfortunately, that simple truth has been subverted into. Yeah.
Wow. That's...
I would like to see a musical about the Crips and Bloods. It's not hip hop at all. It's like Gilbert and Sullivan style music. I do say, Charlie, I like you and we could certainly be friends, but I'm a Crip and you're a Blood, and that makes us enemies. I guess I'll have to fight and stab you everywhere, 'cause I'm a Crip and you're a Blood, and da-da-da-da-da. Like that. That'd be a great musical, right? So it could be modeled kind of after let's see. What's a famous play besides West Side Story that we could model it after? We could model it after
Grease? What came first?
we could do a Grease kind of thing with the Crips and the Bloods. That's a good suggestion there. Okay. So what we'll do is, well, first of all, we'll be racially blind in the casting of the Crips and the Bloods. So
Totally.
And that means in both gangs, well, like the lead character of the Crips will be this scrawny blonde guy who moved out to the urban area from the suburbs and has has earned his bars, as they say, by proving himself in the gang. And there's a scene, in fact, where the gang members are like, "What do you think, guys? Should we promote him to full member?" And he goes, "You remember that time I went to the liquor store for you, and I stole a 41, and I stole a 42, then 3, 4, 5, 6, and more, all the beers in the whole store. Yes, I stole them, and I brought them to you." Like that. That'd be a great
new musical.
It would be. The Crips and the Bloods.
Do they do the Crip walk?
Yes, they have it. Well, that also has its own scene. Walking, 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 like the background chorus, people going walking, walking, walking. "Now listen here, if you want to be a member of this gang, you'll have to learn to do the Crip walk, the Crip walk." And then like, "The Crip walk, what's that?" And then first you do a limp, and then you do a dump, and then you do a limp right here. It's the Crip walk, Crip, 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 Crip walk, Crip, Crip. Like that one, right? It's one of the more robotic sounding numbers of the musical. In the end, there'll be a grand crescendo number called "We started out Crips and we started out Bloods, but now I'm a Crud and you are a Brip, and we are together like brother and sister, Crips and Bloods as one." And they're all hugging and dancing and making peace with each other. Starting a farm. Like there's a little addendum scene at the end where they all go off to "Come on, let's go to the farm." And then they go to the farm, they show them farming corn and stuff. And then a narrator's voice said, "And the Crips and the Bloods lived happily ever after." The end. Amen, praise God, Eric's right. There should also be a scene in the Bloods like gang hangout house where they consult their accountant because they're going to get 40s, so they need an updated count of dead homies because that's going to impact how much 40 they need to pour. How many dead homies do we have? How many dead homies now? Well, let's add Marcel, Jerome, Delight, Dero, Andre, Fine, and then 185 dead homies. And then they show like the Bloods all gathering together to pick up this giant prop 40, and then they have a sound effect. Blah, 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 blah. And then, like the main character goes into the sad song. "I'm tired of seeing beloved friends go, from standing above to lying below, 6 feet of the earth, dead on the ground. It makes me feel sad." And then they do a little dance saying, yes, this is the hard part of being a Blood, pouring out 40s per day, wetting ground, representing the sound of our friends passed away. They're waltzing while they're singing this. No, this is not white privilege. This is pipe privilege, which is a little bit different. Right. My camera appears reversed. How about now? Did that help? There, I did nothing. That should solve the problem. We've tried nothing, man, and we're all out of ideas. Who can tell me the source of that quote? Who said that quote? We tried nothing, man, and we're all out of ideas. Who can win the trivia game? There's your culprit. Oh no.
Oh, now I know what it's like
Oh no.
when a string breaks.
Mm-hmm. It makes you say, oh
Oh
no.
no, indeed.
More strings breaking. Oh no. If you're like me, that's what you say when you have a broken string. It's okay. You can still play without that string. I wanted to make a musical about the Bloods and Crips, an old-fashioned traditional full of colors and chips. But somebody told me that my hilarity was rude, so now I've given up because I've got a better attitude. Now I see that was white privilege, something I didn't know I had. 'Cause I'm not white, I'm fluidly transracial. Where I learned I could still be stereotyped away. 'Cause my skin's too light today, I guess. Tonight perhaps it'll darken while I sleep, and then tomorrow I will be on my feet. Dark enough for you. Welcome to Just Bells. The tour is Just Bells. If you're shopping and you see our store and you want a bell, come to Just Bells. That's the theme song for Just Bells. That's their jingle.
I like it. It's concise and sweet.
It conveys to the listener. They advertise mostly on AM radio. It conveys to the listener that if they're shopping and they see a store and they want a bell, they should go to Just Bells. Which is a pretty important message. If you're gonna advertise, you should make sure people know where they should go.
I think I'm gonna have coffee, pee-pee, and
You do your thing, darling Squirrelin.
I'll be watching. Sorry, I love you.
I love you too. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.
Mommy and Daddy love you. Oh yes, you love me. Yes, happy kitty.
Here's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them, but every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied chance to yell at them. So now he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. Doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise. He hates the lies, wants to confront the men, always telling them, but every time he tries, they only run and hide. Again he is denied chance to yell at them, until the bridge brings a new approach. Sneakily he'll try to encroach up on the guilty, then not till to yell at them. He's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory in disguise, hands in his pockets. Now he's walking down the drive, averts his eyes. He doesn't want you guys to realize that he's Gregory. Boy, my voice is shot. It's really shizot. Shizot like a rizot. For want of anything else to say, yum 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 yum. Better than another way, 'cause I can meow from here to Phoenix in 1 hour and 40 minutes. And I can meow my penis if penises can be meowed. But if I meow too much, please don't be mad. Don't be mad because I meow too much. Be glad that I don't meow too little. Irritating thing. That's what I like to call an irritating thing. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody at the show placed the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue and tears gnashing through. Holy slabs come to view. Unchangingly true and eternally new. Growing the soap appears in charge today. Options are show other ways. Give each a chance now. One's quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork. It's not easy stopping short to plow along the turnaround. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force, enemy ground. It was 100,000 million years ago. Time ran slow. Nobody had to show. Place the slabs below. Let them go. They will start to grow. More years ensue and tears gnashing through. A holy slabs coming to view. Unchangingly true and eternally new. But when the slope appears in charge today, options at large and other ways. Give each a chance. One's quick to check, but don't get caught standing on deck. The slope presents a fork, not easy stopping short to plow along to turn around. Perhaps the better course was headed ever north. Now there's a fitter force, enemy ground. It was 100,000 million years ago. It's a long time. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not a prostitute. I just take money for sex. And I won't have sex unless you give me money. But I don't mean I'm a prostitute. I just take sex for money. I mean, I accept money for sex, or the other way around. Either way. Because I not only accept the money, yeah, but instead I also sometimes pay some money, yeah. That means I'm not a prostitute, you see. If I were, then you would be able to shame me. But because I accept money when I have sex, and because when I have sex I accept money, does not mean that sometimes I don't have sex and I pay money instead of the person that I'm having sex right now. And in that case I'm a John and not a cow. I mean, in that case I'm a mow and not a hoe. I mean, in that case I'm a prostitute and not a simple prostitute, because I pay and also take the vow. Yes, if you only take the money when you have the sex, then you a hoe. But if you pay for sex sometimes, then you a real Joe. Lost my studliness with my slutliness, and you get something special indeed. I'm not a prostitute, although I take sex for money and money for sex. That's a very silly song. Hey, fly guy. No kissing. That's for boyfriends. Hey, have you heard the news of the kidney transplant? It's a pig kidney, yes, and it went in a man. Pig kidney, go in a man. Filter his blood as best as you can. It's like dialysis machine made out of pork. But the clerics denounced it. They said, why? Why couldn't you take a kidney from an ordinary guy? But the doctor said we were out of them kidney in me, not of human meat, but instead pork and cheese. That's the other white meat we eat. So if you were to eat just part of me and that part were my kidney, you couldn't be accused of cannibalism. Just make sure you don't get any meat that's not my kidney though. Then you'd be having more pork, not the short kind, so you don't want to be up there within the group of people they call cannibal and savage men. Okay, well that was nice. That was a nice adventure down Singing Lane. It's because it's not fret buzz, it's this thing, Jonathan. Because the string's broken, this thing is loose a bit, and that's what that is. You're hearing. See? It's this. If I hold it, it doesn't make the sound. When I'm lazy about putting in a new E string, sometimes I'll put a piece of electrical tape over this, so it's for a while until I get another E string or something. You know? You might call me a rambling man, 'cause I do a lot of thumbing and a kicking canes, but I won't do an answer good to call me names. My daddy wasn't well, it was well, I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no hand out living, don't want any part of the thing they giving. I'm proud and white and got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to home and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Small town boy, been around a little, and I like guitar and I like the fiddle, 'cause that's the kind of sport that's playing my thing. I'm blue-eyed, belly, feeling and ready. I got to work just to be somebody. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part in it be given. Proud and white and got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to home and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'm gonna find me a wealthy woman and a line of work that don't take no diploma, 'cause I ain't got much to lose but lots to gain. You might call me a good time fella, but I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. You might call me I'm proud and white and got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. If you want more, just look into do my thing. Oh, sadness, sorrow, death, murder, shame, failure, shame, failure, shame, failure. There. My final number of the evening. I call it Opus to Shame and Failure. Murder, death, shame, failure, shame, failure, shame, failure. Oh, I keep them on hand, my guy. I got a whole shit ton of not high E strings over there. I got every string but high E strings. Every time I go get strings, get another pack of strings. And of course, as always, I break the high E string and then need to get another pack of strings. Occasionally I'll break another string. I've always got plenty of those. Whatever other strings they are. But high E strings are in a little bit shorter supply. I may have one over there, but I doubt it. Yes, you can buy just high E strings, I know, but it's like half price of a whole pack of strings. They do. But here's the thing. Do you want to pay $4 for a high E string? Or do you want to pay $8 for all the strings? It's like, fine, just get another pack of strings. Yeah. It's bad to eat on my part. You go ahead and shame away. I'm defenseless. It's true. It's an epic TE failure on my part. And you can hit me with your TE stick. Well, with that, your solution is providing too much solvency, is too clear cut, will provide lasting solvency, is a relatively small investment, and will make this never be a problem again. So, no chance of me doing that. That's too good of an idea, Boba Fett. Way too good of an idea for somebody like me. I tell you what's even worse, Black Guy. They put 8 hot dogs in my pants, but only 2 buns on my backside. That's why I opened Just Bells. Here at Just Bells, we have Just Bells. That's it. Do you have... Is it a bell? Bell rags? It's not a bell. We have Just Bells. Yeah, but I'm envisioning myself one day, KE, making a remarkable sculpture out of unused guitar strings. I'll use the low E strings to represent the solid core of the soul of humanity, thicker than the other strings, but also less used. As a consequence, there's more of them. Just like there's more poop than there is pee, if you're counting only solid objects. Okay, E, listen. I don't want to make it that easy for people to buy bells at Just Bells. Okay? The basic premise of Just Bells is to only have bells and to do absolutely nothing to facilitate or encourage people to successfully acquire them. Hey everybody, can you come over here and give me TE advice that I don't want? I'd love that, thanks. Well, I don't bend them, but I play a lot, you know. I play a lot, and it's a thin string. I don't know what else to say about it. I don't play with Pegasus, sure, but if it becomes popular, I failed in my art project. If it's really at risk for becoming popular, I'm going to put it between Food Cube and More Than Just Condiments. Okay? I'll put it between Food Cube and Food Cube Caliente, which is the same as Food Cube, but with a spicy Mexican flavor. Food Cube would probably be a business that would be successful. The idea is, what do people really want? What do people really want in food, KE? Let me pose a question to you. Do you think you know the answer? You might think you do, but when you hear the real answer, you're going to realize how real it is, okay? What do people really want in food? They want a cube of high-calorie food they can eat once and it keeps them full all day. They want it cheap. They want it right now through fast food place. They want it with cold soda pop and some cube fries. That's the mission of Food Cube. It's basically you get a cube of high density grain, bean, meat, cheese, vegetable goo. No, this is not in the Bell store. This is next door to the Bell store. Just Bells is right next door to Food Cube. Food Cube, no food or drink are allowed at Just Bells. There's very little you can bring into Just Bells because all there are bells, right? You don't have to completely strip, but you need to leave any extra accoutrements in your car to go into Just Bells. So, for example, wrong answer, KE. Wrong answer. The correct answer was Food Cube. Okay? What they really want is Food Cube. And that's what Food Cube promises to provide. And it will have the additional... Oh no, Jonathan. Oh no, 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 no. Everything is cubular at Food Cube, okay? Instead of chairs, you have cubes that you sit on. Instead of a table, it's a cube that's bigger than the cube chairs. Instead of round drinks inside the restaurant, you get cube cups, you know. Obviously for takeout, we'll give you... Well, I'll tell you what. It'll still be cubular, but it will be narrowed down at the bottom so it fits in the regular cup holders. Well, KE, that's because they didn't have the visionary whose visions are in charge of Food Cube, famous visionary Erik, who's envisioned such great ideas as Just Bells, Food Cube Caliente, all licenses all the time, more than just condiments, Wrong Hole, the restaurant that only serves the anuses of various creatures. The key thing about Food Cube, though, is it's going to share in common a quality that I'm going to take from hot dog on a stick, okay? Now, if you've ever been to hot dog on a stick, then you know that what they do is they hire people to work there, and then they make them wear these incredibly ridiculous outfits. They're like these color stripy things, and like the girls, it's like kind of a short skirt. It's very like themey, right? Well, at Food Cube, all the employees have to wear cube suits, cube clothes. It's like they're walking around in a box all day. Welcome to Food Cube. What can we cube for you? Good plus cube equals better is the slogan of Food Cube, I think. That's an urban legend, KE. Okay? Pork anus is not actually used as a replacement for calamari. Although I will tell you this. It is makes for an absolutely delicious sashimi. Well, the cube, there's no cube store. Food Cube is not a store for cubes. It's a store for food cubes. Okay? It's got a drive-through. It's got employees dressed in colorful cube outfits. It's got cube tables and cube chairs. It's got cubular drinks, and the only thing it serves are Food Cube, cube fries, and cube drink. Cube shoes. Cube shoes are a great idea, you know? The crazier a shoe is in terms of wearability, the more women want to wear it. So why don't we just make a cube that it's like the top opens, you put your foot in the hole, and then the top closes, and you just have a cube on your foot. And that could be the new high fashion look that all the ladies at the most exclusive clubs in New York City wear cube shoes. And I think I would like to introduce a new line of cube bikini tops like, girls should cover their boobs with cubes more often, I think, because at least they get a benefit of a rhyme going on. I got my boobs in some cubes, they can say every morning as they put on their cube bra. Hey, like the cubular bra you got on under that shirt. Don't sexually harass me. Are your breasts naturally cubular, or hey, it's a little personal? A little known fact, almost 27% of women's breasts are actually cubes. It's surprising. The rest of them are boob shaped, but full 27% of women have cubular breasts. They used to call it a psychological disorder, but then they determined it was a lifestyle choice. Well, see, James Carroll is. I actually envisioned Food Cube a recipe for it, which is basically my recipe of. Oh, that's a good one, Fly Guy. My recipe for double cheese goodness. It's a casserole that I used to make in college, which is fried rice, pork and beans, a can of stewed tomatoes, a can of corn, a bunch of soy sauce and teriyaki sauce and ketchup. And you after you fry the rice, you add all those other ingredients. After you fry the rice with the soy sauce and teriyaki sauce, you add all those other ingredients, and you put it in a casserole dish and you bake it in the oven for a while. And the whole thing just takes like, a couple cups of rice, a can of stewed tomatoes. You push all the juice out of it and just put the tomato parts in. Or you could use diced tomatoes. I actually like diced tomatoes better because they're not so big. Anyway, and a can of corn and a can of pork and beans. And it's like a total cost of like under $4, assuming you have the condiments of soy sauce and teriyaki sauce. And you can make a big casserole dish of it. And then I always felt like it was best even after it had come out of the oven and then been put in the fridge and gotten all into a nice solid cube. Like when you cut it out, you get a cube of a food cube, and so when it was like that, and then you put paste pecani sauce on top of it, it was really good, and it was very filling. Is the most important thing. You eat just one cube of it, and it was like eating twice as much other food. So if you were to smush out, you have to smush out twice as much burger as you would smush out food cube to get the same amount of full. That's the advantage of food cube. I've done some cooking videos before. There's one Christmas video where I do the preparation of Christmas dinner when me and Delilah are having Christmas at my house in Temple City. And we tried to go to the Denny's for Christmas dinner, but it was jam-packed with a line outside, so we went back home. I didn't have a lot of food at home, like nothing was open because it was Christmas Day. But I did have beans and bacon and cheese and like some frozen bread. So I just made this bread, bean, bacon, cheese mush thing, and we both ate that and enjoyed it. Rice and beans come together to form a complete protein. Hey girl, our amino acids form a complete protein. It's a good pickup line. It's a good recipe. You get a good solid casserole dish full of food for like under $4, and you can eat straight cold out of the fridge, no problem. It's even Well, that's where we had planned to go. It was right next to our house, and we were starving. When we went there and saw that there was a big line, I said, okay, fuck this. We can't go around looking for someplace to eat. I gotta eat soon, so let's go home and I'll cook whatever we got. An incomplete protein is an incomplete protein with the wrong prefix. Fruit. Fruit's not protein. Twigs and grasses. Well, I guess the day of reckoning is nigh. The time of revolution is upon us. Namely, soon I think I shall go to bread. It's okay, K.E. My Christ-like nature forgives you. Here. You are forgiven. Boy, I tell you, one thing about that Erik guy. If there is any adjective I would use to describe him, it is Christ-like. What's an incomplete protein? You know, like, that one protein that's like half a protein and needs some other shit. It's like, hey, we're missing an amino acid. That's how you identify an incomplete protein. They're putting up lost and found posters, lost, wanted, help finding posters for an amino acid. Wanted, in desperate need of an amino acid. Incomplete protein seeks partner in crime for activities, fun, and who knows. That's a good point, K.E. You may have someone pinned down on a TI technicality. And, you know, those are the most important kind of technicalities. Well, I mean, if you cut off my arm, I would be an incomplete person, but I would still be a person, right? I mean, is an incomplete sentence a sentence? It's kind of a sentence in an incomplete stage of development. It's the fetus of the communicative world. Hey, why are you erasing my sentence? Oh, I wouldn't erase your sentence. That was an incomplete sentence, so it's fine to erase it. It doesn't belong to you or anybody else. It's not real yet. But I only had 2 words left to go. Well, you better write faster next time. Molecules don't wear makeup, Kay. God, you're such a girl. A flagrant blasphemer? Or you mean blasphemer? Listen, I'm not going to blast your femur, Fly Guy. I do appreciate the creativity of your euphemism for butt stab me. But no, I will not blast your femur. Ever since Judy died, I have felt incomplete. As a protein, I'm accustomed to hanging out with amino acids, to emerging from fleshy red body death. And you eat it. And now I don't know what I am. I don't even know I am a protein anymore. Am I even a protein? Who am I? I'm gonna go get typed by host Eric. Is it possible I'm part protein and part amino acid? No. I test as a protein limbic system kind of hybrid thing. No, you're not. Okay? You're just a regular protein. Live with it. I know protein's not a very sexy type. Well, could it be that I'm like an incomplete protein with part of something else stacked? No. Stop it. You're not. I asked you the questions. Can you recite 7 protein things you did today? And you recited them all perfectly. Bacon is a protein, yes. Bacon is a good protein. Steak is a good protein. All of my amino acids have gathered together to celebrate the wonderful world of protein. I don't know anything about protein. This is the problem. I don't know what they are, what they do really even, now that I think about it. I'm assuming amino acids are what the proteins take to trip out. I'm crisp. I'm crisp as a brand new $1 bill. Thank you, Lady Lou. I appreciate your praising our no nails, yes nails thing. Thank you for that. A protein coat called a capsid constitutes the surface which houses the viral genome, which encoding the genes needed to build and replicate the virus. Well, that sounds like a virus protein, though, Boba Fett. I make all my virus proteins wear gold stars and live in a ghetto. There are no such thing as germs now? Germ theory has been debunked? What are there instead? I mean, the most important thing is, I gotta tell you what made a huge difference in my life. I went gluten-free, not just with the food I eat, but with all the products I buy. I have gluten-free pens, gluten-free cups, gluten-free microphone. I got a gluten-free light here. Everything gluten-free. It costs a little more. But as with organic, it's really a lifestyle choice. Look, stop trying to reduce germs to members of their group, or individuals as well. No more germs. No more germs and no more promises of love. I mean, I never really got into what germ theory was anyway. I understood there being viruses and bacterial infections you could get, but I'm not sure what germs. I never really quite got what germs were supposed to be or what they are. Are they viruses? Are they bacteria or what? If they're bacteria, why not just call them bacteria? But what are they? What are germs? What are germs but more promises of love? Can't you see germs in a microscope? What happens when I germinate something? Do I invoke the mighty help of the germs? Or do I just infuse something with germs? Is that how you germinate something? Did germs originate in Germany? Is that why they're called germs? Did the Germans invent them one day when they were trying to come up with a way to make people more stern and obedient? Bacteria and viruses are both germs. Okay, I'm going with James on this one. Let's just use the formal term cooties, please. We don't need to use vulgar colloquialisms when discussing cooties. Rachel and I are immune to each other's cooties at this point, but obviously nobody ever, like, why didn't the government do all this lockdown shit when there was that first outbreak of cooties back when I was in elementary school? If anything needed strong authoritarian mindless measures, it was the outbreak of cooties that swept across the nation back when I was in elementary school. And as far as I recall, it was an interesting disease. It only affected girls, I think, if I remember correctly. Only girls had cooties. So most disease, I can't think of any other diseases that really only affect one gender like that, except maybe like vagina inflammation syndrome or something. Worms. What about worms? Yes, of course, my duck. Listen, it's not acceptable for people who are single and not in serious long-term monogamous relationships to have any sex with anybody until we have a vaccine and for HIV and get everybody vaccinated, and it's guaranteed to work, okay? Completely to stop it. I don't have any worms in my bottom. There's no worms in my poop when I go. I haven't eaten anything from made up that was growing in poo. Human poo. If you eat things that are grown in human poo, you get worms. Don't eat things grown in human poo is good advice. Okay, well, Fly Guy, I've got some good news for you. I'm having post-marital sex. That should be okay, right? I've been married twice already, so all sex I have is post-marital. What about masturbation, Fly Guy? Should I stop rubbing one out too? Don't they have preventative medicine go on PrEP? If you want parents, we could also alternately force everyone to be on it. I mean, the point is, we need to return to sanity and put the impetus where it belongs on the individual to take extra precautions or not as they see fit, and to be responsible if they know they're infected with something, you know? You're forgetting Psalm 34:22, which I quote, stroke me, stroke me. Semen retention is the future. Well, semen retention guarantees a future of an enlarged prostate. So it's true, if you were really a curve surfer and getting into the semen retention thing now, you're going to have a hell of a hard time peeing when you're 40 years old if you're 20 something now. It's a terrible idea. And it's like an insanely stupid, clumsy use of NI to think that semen retention is a good idea. Why not retain all your fluids? Retain your pee, your poo, your semen, your tears, your sweat. The doctor can release your semen without masturbation. And how is that better? How is it better to have your doctor release your semen? How does he release it? By giving you a hand job? No. Listen, you can avoid masturbation and sex entirely. Just go have your doctor give you a hand job. Why is it bad to fat? He feeds it back to you. Okay. You're gross. You need to go to Just Bells, Fly Guy. You need to go to Just Bells. If you were more into bells, you wouldn't be worried so much about your semen. Like, the reality is the opposite, the exact opposite of what semen retention people say. Semen is like something you have to get out of yourself on a regular basis, like urine or poo. It's not a good idea to retain it. It's like, are you retaining your mucus when you cough as well? Like, why? What's the point of that? It's just penis mucus. People who jerk off are usually moody and weak. Well, I guess that explains it. I never knew why I was so moody and weak, but it must be all the non-stop masturbation I'm doing. Okay. Listen, here's the key thing, Fly Guy. You've got it almost completely correct, okay? Except you got the wrong possessive adjective. In order to be healthy, you need to retain my semen. It's only my semen that's healthy to retain. Anybody else's semen, you don't want to retain it. You're a gamma, so you got some terrible ideas. Yeah. I'm a gabba gabba hey. I don't want it though. It's gross, it's sticky, it's ewy, it makes me go, oh! That's gross, I think. Yeah, that is some incomplete protein, let me tell you. If a doctor's finger is up your butt and you get an erection, the doctor must be getting on your nerves. Is that a pun or something? I don't really want the doctor's finger up my butt. You can jostle my prostate, you can finger my back, you can touch inside of my butt. But please don't ever make me nut. That's the theme song of Semen Retention. Semen Retention, the YouTube channel. Hi, Doctor. Hi, Dr. Stevenson. You don't mind if I call you Misty, do you? Misty, listen. What you're about to do to me is a special experience between a man and a woman who are deeply, deeply engaged in fingering somebody's butt. You release your excess semen when you defecate anyway. It's not like transmission fluid, Fly Guy. You don't have a correct level of semen. Sometimes it gets a little too full and you gotta release the excess. It's much more comparable to urine, okay, than anything else. Except you gotta pee more often than you gotta go number 3. Like, there are 3 things. You can go number 1, you can go number 2, or you go number 3. None of those things do you want to hold in. Holding in any of those things is bad. You know what you should retain? You should retain your carbon dioxide by not ever breathing out, just breathing in. That'd be a good idea. Try that. I want you to retain your carbon dioxide. Why are you letting it go to waste? That's precious, precious, highly energized quantum woo carbon dioxide. No, Fly Guy is right. Okay, well, I don't doubt that if you're too full of cum, that it doesn't stay in your body. Because it's meant to leave your body, not stay in there. Breathing less is also good. And what could possibly be that cannot possibly be true. Like, what would be the rationale? Oh, I'm getting oxygen poisoning. Gosh. My blood is so well oxygenated, I can't take it anymore. Yes, excessive blood oxygenation is a problem. Well, I mean, it is true that you can hyperventilate, but just because it's possible to do something too much doesn't mean that doing it less is good. Right? And it certainly isn't a default state for most people that they're breathing too much, because very few people are attending consciously to their breathing. Fortunately, our body knows how much breathing we need to do, and if we feel short of breath, we breathe harder, and if we don't, we don't, you know. I've begun infusing my air with about 10% boron gas. I find it really brings out the pine tar flavor of the air. Yeah, don't fast. If you're gonna fast, don't call it fasting, call it not eating for some reason that doesn't make any sense, because eating is good. I'm not in favor of fasting. And I'm also not in favor of them calling it fasting. They should call it intentional starvation. Intentionally not providing necessary nutrients to your body. This is my body. I'm gonna shove it full of nutrients. I love nutrients. I'm thinking of a different kind of gamma. Oh, you're the alpha male. Well, I guess that means all of the other males defer to you for guidance, leadership, and courage in times of trouble. Is that true? Is it because of your incredible flyness? There's a mixing of quadras and wolf pack relation terms here. He means alpha in the wolf pack relations and gamma in the quadras. It means crush all the puss. Yes, I crush all the puss. Yes, I crush all the puss. Yes, I crush all the puss that I see on the bus when I'm riding downtown for my trial. And I smash all the vag that I slay in my bag as I'm sleighing cross sky on Christmas Eve. Yeah, fly guy, that kind of stuff you say sounds ESFP-ish in lots of new ways, and it's exciting to hear another embracer of nonsense. Embracer of nonsense, bringer of chaos, provoker of talks of masturbation. The ESFP has a noble and important role to play in society today. After all, that's it. After all. Don't throw off my blood gases. That can be dangerous. Whoa, 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 whoa. I am totally confused here. Am I going towards the heart or away from the heart? Oh, fuck. You've thrown off all my blood gases. ESFP is a mega Chad, so you just helped my argument. Like, I am not disputing your Chadhood. Nothing in my perception of ESFPs denies them the status of Chad, okay? I'm totally willing to concede that ESFP males are quite likely to have a Chadly streak, to, shall we say, frequent a destination known as Sure, ESFPs are not strangers to 111 drive, okay? Quite likely to have huge horse dongs, huh? I mean, that's pretty big, a horse, you know. I'm not sure. There's a lot of girls who really want that much man. That's a lot of man, right? A horse. It's like my entire arm, probably, maybe bigger even than that. Like, you know, you have to have a very deep woman. A very deep woman. Well, I mean, there is a top to the inside of them, you know. You don't want to go past the cervix. It's not, and it's not something that requires a horse to reach. I mean, the key thing about Chads, most of all, is that they find it very rewarding to attain the authentic physical validation of sex from a woman. It's like, from a male at ESFP's perspective, this woman is giving the ESFP as much respect as can be given to him. ESFPs don't understand that respect doesn't really operate in real time, but, you know, everybody has their own gratification angle, you know. Like, I I don't really, at this age, worry about trying to compete on a stud metric. I probably never really could, and certainly won't now. And I would hate to have that be a significant part of my identity. You know, for me, sex is properly realized as a safe, shared experience with a single long-term partner that gets increasingly better because you're increasingly comfortable and intimate and familiar and I guess in love or attached or whatever to the other person. So obviously ESFPs have an entirely different viewpoint on it. It's one of those things that an ENTP is likely to see as vulgar and or sad. Like I see it as taking something too lightly that should be taken more seriously. Well, look, the thing about ESFPs is they have FI as an instrumental value, they have NI as an instrumental value, and they have SE and SI as absolute values. So the only place where they really feel like that constraint of their action, the form of loyalty, is to old friends. Like ESFPs who are raised by loving parents will be the most devoted kids as adults to their parents when they need them and stuff. So, like, yeah, I mean, in general, ESFPs and ESPs would think I'm kind of a prude. But it's really not a Christian moralism. It's an understanding of myself and how FI polar manifests in me, which is I need to be certain about the positive statuses and not, and then, you know, like whatever variation in experiences, if it's within the acceptable variation of the status, it doesn't cause me to doubt the validity of the status, then I'm perfectly happy that the statuses don't move. What I mean by the statuses, I mean things like that Rachel is sexually attracted to me and finds me a good sexual partner and doesn't consider me deficient in any way or something, and that she's not gonna leave me, and that a bunch of other things. Those statuses are important. It's like, it's important to know, for me, and I think probably for Rachel as well, that we will never hurt each other in vulnerable spots, which are 8th slot, 4th slot, 6th slot. She doesn't really critique my bad TE. I don't hurt her feelings or push on her boundaries, and neither of us critique the other or at all about any sensory stuff. Fly Guy, I don't like your... I don't like the genital shaming implicit in your comments. I don't feel... like it's good discourse. That's the fish aquarium. I need to change the water again. As soon as it starts getting to where you can hear it more like that, that means meow amount has evaporated. So I need to do another water change. I change the water about once a week. And when it's all the way full, then it doesn't, you can't really hear it trickling so much. Good night, Lady Lou. I'm going to go too. Thank you all for being here. And I enjoyed our conversation tonight. I enjoyed chatting with you. It's always delightful talking with y'alls. I timed him out. I didn't ban him. But yeah, I don't... That's one of those things that's an ENTP thing, right? It's like... I don't like people being attacked on physicalities at all. Like... looks or whatever. Stuff that's implicit to their body. Like weight. Things like that. I just, it really makes me feel like ew, you know. He was just, you know, yammering on about just various carryings on linked to what was a veneer on top of genital shaming. So, anyway, I'm gonna go. I feel like a little meow. Goodbye, good night, good luck. God bless. Amen. Praise the Lord, and Eric's right.